Welcome to A Billion Realities, where we explore all topics related to spirituality, psychology, and the power of the mind. And now your host, Jessica Gerlach.
PodcastCadet.com provides a one-on-one private consultation for anyone, whether you are just starting or already have a podcast that you want to take to the next level. They have the professionals to help you. Visit PodcastCadet.com today and use the code REALITY20 to save 20% off your entire purchase. I've personally used this service, and I can assure you, you will not be disappointed.
Welcome back to A Billion Realities. Today on the show, we're talking to musician, songwriter, and singer, Ken Fox. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Hey, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It took us a little while to get connected, so I have a feeling this is going to be a really great show.
All right, likewise.
So I'm really excited to have you on. You're actually from my hometown. Well, maybe you're not from, but that's where you are now, correct?
I spent a large chunk of my adulthood there, yes.
Okay, great. So where are you now?
I am currently in Milford, Pennsylvania, where I've resided for the last 7 years now.
I love Milford. That's so amazing. And I literally grew up in like the town just next to that. So, and
okay.
I went to Port Jervis High School. Where did you actually grow up? Because I saw something on your website that looked like you were from Rockland County, I think.
Yeah. I grew up in Suffern, New York, and that's right in Rockland County. It's wedged between Tuxedo and Airmont.
Amazing. My dad's from Stony Point.
Oh, okay. Right around the corner. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So has music always been a part of your life? Because it seems like it.
For the most part, I would say, yeah. When I was 15, I think that's when I realized that it actually meant something to me. But growing up, yeah, I just remember my mom singing around the house and singing to me. And it sparked something emotionally in me. And, that's, I think I kind of always knew that music was moving to me.
Incredible. And you mentioned earlier that you had some musicians in the family as well.
Yeah. I had my Uncle June was a musician. He played keys and led a band. And he was right there. He was like a couple miles from my house. So I do remember going to his house and watching him rehearse and play a little bit. And I was always trying to sneak down into his little studio and play on his stuff. And he was nice about it, but my parents would, yell at us and tell us to get out of there and don't touch his stuff. I could see why now. But then I had an Uncle Kenny on my father's side, who was also a musician. He was self-taught. He played guitar and piano. And all of those guys are very much into country and western and the blues and stuff like that. So that had an impact on me as well as a kid.
Very cool. That's amazing. How would you describe your childhood?
I think it could be broken up into sections, but for the most part, I would say it was good. It was, like any other young American boy, I love to be outside and, play baseball. That was my big thing. We moved around quite a bit, which, me or my sister, neither one of us were really fond of. But, I guess it would be the same as a traveling family, a military family, or maybe a family that, was in a was in a band or something. So we got to see a lot of different things. That was for sure. But all on the East Coast and all between, Pennsylvania and Rockland County.
Wow.
And a little bit of Port Jervis in between.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you were actually around that style of music and you developed an emotional connection to it. It reminds me of home as well, which is interesting because, every time I come back to visit, I hear a lot of that music. And, when I lived in Canada, I didn't hear a lot of that music. And now I live in Serbia and I definitely don't hear a lot of that music. So it's very nostalgic to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. What was the vibe? I'm curious. What was being played in Canada while you were there?
Well, the group of people that I was around, and I was, 21 when I moved there. So it was a lot of house music, techno music, but they do have a lot of amazing country artists and blues artists there. I just wasn't really around it at that time. I did live there for about actually 9 years, but
Okay.
yeah, so my connection to country and blues is definitely in the US. I was actually just listening to Amos Lee. I don't know if you know who he is, but I love him.
I am familiar. Yeah, I like Amos. Yeah.
He's a good one. Yeah, you just had a new song released, right?
Yeah, so I do have a new EP out. It's about 5 songs and 13 minutes long. And we just released the video and the single for the second song off of it called I Do. And I'm happy with it. It seems to be doing well. People like it, and the numbers have been good. So we're excited about that.
Amazing. And do you perform a lot in the area, and do you travel for performances outside of COVID, of course?
Yeah. Actually, I started performing in 2007, and my very first show was in Port Jervis at the Vault. I'm not sure if you remember that.
I do. I totally do. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was over there. And yeah, I mean, I did a couple of small tours, but I have not extended out into the country as much as I would have liked because of work restrictions up until this year, and then COVID hit, and that kind of scrambled my plans for branching out even more this year.
Well, you still can once all of this COVID drama's over.
Oh, absolutely! I can't wait.
Amazing.
We all look forward to that.
Definitely, and you can travel and do some shows. Do you have any crazy show stories that you can tell us?
I learned not to drink before I played. That was something I learned.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I had a show in Long Island, and I think I started drinking Long Island iced teas for some reason out there, and I had about 2 or 3 before I went on stage, and I just never forgot that. As fun as it is to drink and relax and have a good time, music is something that I take very seriously, and I always want to give my best, performance and put my all into it. You spend a lot of time working on these songs, and then you go out there and you act like a jackass. It's not really good for anyone. But I had one too many Long Island iced teas out there, and I was listening back to the audio, and I'm singing off pitch, and it was just not a good scene.
Okay.
So,
well, everything is a lesson, right? So you learned a big one early on.
Yeah. And another quick story. When we were on this tour, and the last stop was in New York City. So we came from up by it might have even been inland a little bit more, Ohio. We were driving into New York City, and there was a major accident literally unfolded right in front of us. Car got sideswiped, did a 360. It was ugly. It was a crazy scene.
Wow.
But we were all kind of shook up by that because it looked
Wow.
bad. I think the people were like,
Did you see anything specific, or you just saw the mangled vehicle?
yeah. Oh, I mean, it happened literally right in front of us. It was the car in front of us that got hit. So we seen the whole thing. We witnessed the whole thing.
Wow. And
Yeah.
did people get killed?
I'm not sure if there were fatalities, but yeah, I don't know. I think we just proceeded down the route, and I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, I hope they're all right.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
Oh, that's stressful and traumatic at the same time. Just
Yeah,
shows you how fast things can change too. It like really puts things in perspective, right?
absolutely. Yeah, I live every day like that now. You never know what's gonna happen, what turns and twists life is gonna throw at you. So
Totally.
yeah,
I'm definitely with you on that. I'd really tried to just focus on everything I'm grateful for, even if things go wrong, like, oh my God, they could be so much worse. And they're,
absolutely.
yeah. So speaking of traumatic things and emotional things, where do you
Hmm.
get the inspiration behind your music?
Just I would say life. I'd say life. Um, I've had the experiences to write most of these songs, and when I'm not going off of that, uh, I got a lot of friends and I got a lot of things that I'm inspired by. You know, uh, I don't think necessarily I've always consciously tried to write from my point of view all the time. I try to consider other people's stories and their situations, and sometimes I throw that in the mix with and just give it a voice, so to speak.
Cool.
That type of thing.
I saw when I was researching you that you're really into kind of storytelling in your music, which I love.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a thing that kind of gets lost, as we get further away from roots based music.
Definitely.
Um, I always loved Bob Dylan and some of these storytelling guys that wrote just amazing stories in their songs. Tom T. Hall is another one that comes to mind.
Mhm.
Just people like that, and I think that was very inspiring to me as well. I
That's
like a good
amazing.
story.
Yeah, I do too, and I think that you hit the nail on the head. We're losing that in music now in many, in many genres anyway. So
Yeah,
I love that you're kind of staying true to that, you know,
yeah,
the roots old school way. I like it.
yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So what's it been like as a musician, performer, singer under these circumstances? Are you even able to perform anywhere in town, or is it completely just not an option right now?
Well, ironically, it was. I had some things planned, and then the COVID cases they increased, so we had to kibosh that and
Mhm.
come up with some other stuff. So yeah, it's tricky right now with shows. Yeah, I just when I do go out, I want people to be able to enjoy it and not worry about the after effects of gathering together and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I was home in the summer, I think it was most of July, and
So
things were open again, but everything was closing down by like 9 o'clock. So it was really weird. Just,
yeah, it's
yeah.
so strange. Yeah,
Very,
I was downtown be on the eve of Thanksgiving. I was around that area. My mother lives down there, and I rode past the one of the restaurants, the Erie, and
yeah,
that was pitch dark. There was nobody there, and that as that's a weird thing to see around these parts. That's
definitely.
a big night for people to be out.
Absolutely. One of the biggest of the year, actually.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the biggest.
Even more than the Christmas holidays, I think. That's the big one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your creative process like? How do you begin writing a song?
It's changed. It's evolved over the years.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, I was in college and I would go to the library and I would literally take out a book, a notebook, and I would just start writing, notes out. And well, when I should back up and say that when I started writing songs by playing guitar, I would write my lyrics out in a notebook and then I would try to add the music to them later. And then nowadays, I kind of just pick up one of my guitars and if a phrase comes to mind, or I have something that's just been rolling around in my head for a little while, I'll just start singing the phrase over and over again, and then trying to get the music to match that emotion of what I'm trying to say.
Amazing. Do you love to collaborate with other people, or do you prefer to work solo?
I'll say I would love to collaborate with people, and I haven't done much of that. I had a band when I first started for a few years, and then that dissolved. And ever since then, I kind of really worked by myself. So I've become proficient at producing myself and working by myself. I play most of the instruments except for drums on all my records, and I've produced them all. But I have a high interest in collaborating with people, and it's something that I really want to do, especially production-wise. I would love to collaborate with a producer at some point, just so I could get a different set of ears and some perspective, a different perspective on what I'm trying to do.
That's impressive that you do all of that by yourself. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, I was at a necessity, but yeah.
Well, I guess you learned a lot in that process. Who would you love to collaborate with off the top of your head?
I would love to collaborate with a producer by the name of Mark Neal. He's the guy that produced Charlie Crockett's latest effort called Welcome to Hard Times. He's also done the great record by the Black Keys brothers. Mm-hmm. And he's done some other projects that I've listened to. And I just think he's an amazing producer. Other than him, producer-wise, I love T-Bone Burnett. I love a lot of the things that he's done. Singers and stuff like that. Oh man, I think that list we'd be here all night. There's so many.
I bet.
There's a lot of amazing musicians out there,
Do you want to collaborate with anybody in our area over there?
Yes, actually, my mentor who taught me some of the music theory and gave me confidence to actually start writing is a gentleman by the name of Cecil Allen. And I would love to collaborate with him. I haven't been in touch with him in probably the last 5 or more years, but he's a great blues and soul guitar player. He really plays everything. He actually introduced me to a lot of country artists that I didn't know about. But he's just a great guitar player, and his music sensibilities are amazing. But hopefully one day, maybe when all this stuff clears up, your paths will hopefully cross. Yeah, I would love that. And Matthew Gerard King, I should mention, is a guy that plays guitar with me often. He was actually in I Do video, if you've seen that. He's an amazing guitarist and the songwriter as well. He structures the stuff so well. So I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with him. I've been working with him for years. Since 2012 was the first time we collaborated. But we've been trying to get a whole project together now for quite some time. So hopefully that will come to be.
Wow, interesting. How do you stay motivated to continue creating music, or is it just something so innately present?
I think because I've had my battles with not wanting to create music, whether it was suffering through depression for a time, or but I've never felt like I haven't been getting what I wanted out of music. Some people do it for attention, or they do it for maybe to pay bills in some cases. And some people do it for a short period of time and then it goes away. But I think with me and a lot of people I know, it's something that you have to do. It's a deeply rooted, something that's connected to your soul. And I just feel like I have to do it.
And blues and that genre, country music, blues, it's very soulful. So
yeah,
that definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some of the best writers and performers have come from those genres, and I think that you could definitely hear it. It's pretty much spiritual, the way it comes out from a lot of the greats. I'm not categorizing myself with them, but I think it's a similarity. Well, as far as the polling.
Yeah, there's that common denominator, and I agree with you. I think it is very spiritual.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you are one of the greats. You have to tell yourself.
You're too kind.
We just need COVID to end so you can start traveling again and, getting back out there. It must be really, really hard for performers. I've spoken to a few, of course, on the podcast as well, and it's really difficult. A lot of musicians and singers, songwriters, they really get a lot out of live performances. Like, it's very rewarding for them.
Absolutely.
You've taken kind of a crucial part of their existence away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to find other ways, during this stuff, you have to find other ways to, to work on things, maybe that things that you're not so good at, or things that you want to improve on, and staying creative. You're a creative person. So I think we've all had to readjust, recalibrate, the things that we're doing in the ways that we do them during this time. It's been crazy.
Absolutely. So true. And it's really about trying to kind of step outside of your comfort zone. Not that creative people are usually comfort zones type of people, but we still do get somewhat comfortable in certain creative roles. And so having to step outside of that and become a little more innovative and figure out things that we can do that are a little different. Like, I'm also a hypnotherapist and I do all my sessions online now. So, but, as a writer, I've always had to try to motivate myself by, working from home. But
now, what was your process in doing that? How do you motivate yourself?
I just feel like, so the film stuff, when I'm writing something film related, I worked on that one project. I actually filmed it in Port Jervis, the trailer for it. And that was it was an opioid drama. And that actually got a lot of attention. And then finally, it looked like we were going to go ahead with it in last March. And it was canceled, of course, because of COVID. And we had to start the process all over again, which meant I had to rewrite presentations and rewrite episode outlines. But I think like you, the drive for me is my passion about that topic, my passion about that project. It's like my baby. My colleague and I, we built it from the ground up. He actually gave me that topic to write a short film, and I came back with like pages and pages, and he's like, okay, this is going to be a feature film. I'm like, definitely. Wow. So because we know, and I'm sure you do, just being from that area, just even in the US in general, we know so many people who've struggled with that. And
absolutely.
Anyway, so I guess different things motivate me depending on the project. That's what I would answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's also very important to understand when to pivot and how to pivot to make things work when something isn't working anymore. And I think that's another thing that creative people tend to have in common and to be able to execute.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I have a question for you. Where did you come up with the title and the idea behind a billion realities? Yep.
So I obviously am into spiritual things, as you can clearly see.
Sure.
I wouldn't say I'm religious, but there are parts of many religions that I do feel very connected to. But I really wanted to raise awareness about how different each individual's perspective is in life, and that no two realities are the same. And that, I feel like we should be a little more tolerant of the different realities other people are experiencing, because they're not always going to be the same as yours, and they don't have to be.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that is 100% true.
It's not always easy to do, trust me. I'm fire sign Sagittarius, rising Leo, and sometimes I'm pretty fiery. So if somebody wants to, I don't know, challenge me or something, of course I can definitely get fired up. I'm not going to say that I don't, but I've learned how to be like, okay, well, you don't need to get what I feel. And I don't need to get what you feel, because you had a totally different life than I've had. So your experiences shaped you, and mine shaped me. So,
I can relate to that.
Can you? Tell me more.
100%. Yeah. I think just being a musician, around non-musicians sometimes, I've run into that quite a bit, where, people, they judge you for what you're writing, or they assume they know what and who you're writing about, and they have an opinion about it, even though they haven't lived, the same circumstances or, that you have. And it's, so I've definitely faced that myself. So I understand what you're saying.
And how do you deal with it, or how have you evolved in dealing with it?
Not very well.
It's tough.
Yeah, not very well. I don't tend to be that nice when it comes to that sort of thing. But I think you just become protective over what you hold so close to you. Whether it's So it's something I definitely need to work on, because I know there will be more of it down the line. But I just try to usually explain to people exactly what you said. No two people are the same. We haven't lived the same lives. It makes no sense to assume that that exactly what someone else thinks, feels, or has been through.
Of course, it's the same. Well, I wouldn't say it's the same, but it's similar to, like, people post a lot of things on Facebook. They put memes up. They post different things, maybe from their whole entire life, that it resonates for them, and they post it. And then, people will automatically assume that you're going through that right now, or they'll just assume that it's what they think it is. And you're like, no, I'm just raising awareness.
Right.
Too funny.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is so true.
But I totally can relate with you on the creative stuff, when somebody even challenges your creativity or your perspective, because you put so much, you pour your heart and soul into your projects, your music. For me, my projects, and it's difficult when somebody is like, I don't like that, I want to change it to this. Like, what?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It took so long to create that. It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this. It's a pretty big question, but what would you say you would want the world to know about you and your music?
Just that I do exist, and that I have a great respect for those who have come before me. Uh, Other than that, I'm a pretty private person, so I don't care for people to know too much or dig too much. But yeah, I think that's most important. I think if you know my name, that's going to benefit me more than anything else. You can Google the rest.
I have a little bit of a deeper question. Would you say that legacy is important to you? What kind of
Yes,
imprint do you want to leave behind, let's say?
absolutely. I think, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I didn't think about it when I was young, and when I was younger, and I started cutting songs and recording and playing out and stuff. I don't think any of that mattered. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that the only thing that people are going to remember you by is what you did while you were here, and the message that you had and how it affected people. So legacy is something that I have thought about. I try not to spend too much time on it because I feel like I got so much more to do. I have a lot of work to do, much more than anybody else could think that I have to do. But yeah, I just want people to know that I don't claim to have all the answers, and I've never tried to tell people how to live their life. I think we all have our own struggles, and their struggles shape us. And if you could find motivation or inspiration from someone's story, that's great. Lord knows I've found a lot of inspiration and motivation from people from all walks of life: military people, singers, songwriters, all the creatives. So
Wow, beautiful.
I think that stuff is important.
I love that. That's amazing. I agree with you. I don't think that young people, most young people don't really think about that, but I do think as we get older, it's something that, you know, it becomes important somehow, or we have an awakening of some sort and think, well, what am I really here for? Like,
Right.
what kind of imprint am I leaving behind? And I started thinking about that heavily just in the last couple of years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I love your answer though. That's really cool. I'm the same way also. I'm just gonna say, like, I don't feel like I have all the answers. I feel like I'm pretty committed to certain things, but I'm like an eternal student. Like, just teach me more,
Right.
you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are your goals with your next album, or, I know you're still putting out songs right now from the previous one.
Yep.
Yeah, do you set goals, or do you just
No,
like,
absolutely.
wow, okay.
Yeah. And that's something that's kind of, well, came about in recent time also. But for the next project I want to get out and see people. I want to get out and tour, because I'm doing this full time now. So this is it for me.
All right.
So yeah, I want to make more music, but definitely for the next project that I do, I definitely want to play for people and get around the country if I can.
That's so great. Maybe we can bring you to Serbia too.
I'd love to go.
That would be so cool. You could do like a European tour. I could probably for real set that up, like Eastern Europe though.
Hey, I'd be down to do it. I got the means and the willingness to do it. So I'd be on board.
All right. You know what? I'm thinking that we should definitely organize something, because I think it would be very interesting. And Belgrade is an amazing city, and the nightlife is just unreal. It's it's the closest thing to New York City nightlife that I've ever seen.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
I know. People are like, what? Really? Serbia? And when they come here to visit, they're just blown away. I don't live in the city anymore. I moved into the country, built a house, and I'm a hippie, kind of.
Nice. Okay.
But this is where I do all my creative stuff, so it's okay. But
Perfect.
but yeah, in the city though, I'm telling you, it's like the second city that never sleeps. But they love live music. If you can play them live music all night long, they'll just like throw money at you. That's what they do. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to get my ass on. Yeah. That's amazing.
And then you have Croatia, all the beach side, the seaside towns, and yeah, you could do like Hungary, like Budapest. There's so many great. Prague is close. That's another amazing nightlife city. So I think we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. How long is the flight from the States over there?
So I usually do a layover, but the last time I did a direct flight, because COVID had really good deals on direct flights, and I think it was 9 hours. Okay. Yeah, about that. It's around there. Usually for some reason I do a layover and it's like 8 hours, and then, I stop over in another European country and then it's another hour and a half. I mean, sorry, the opposite. But yeah, hour and a half to the European country, and then, I usually have a layover, and then from that country, like France, let's say, it'll be about 8 more hours, sometimes 9. I don't know why it changes, but can you get through a flight like that?
I'd have to. I'd have to call my doctor first and get something to get me through it, but I'd make it.
They have good movies. They have good wine and good movies, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, that sounds amazing. And I'm itching for the opportunity to travel anyway. So it definitely sounds good to me.
I'm definitely going to look into it. And I have a lot of friends in the media here as well, so we could definitely promote it too.
Excellent.
I'm excited. Excellent. We got to wait for COVID to finish, but we could still plan. We can plan behind the scenes in the meantime.
That's right. Yeah.
So where can people find your music? Because that's really important. And also, your social media, your website, things like that.
Okay. Yeah. My entire ecosystem exists on kenfoxmusic.com. So anything you would need to know or want to know about me, you could find there. That will lead you to all my social media, my music, the YouTube stuff, and also my plans for the immediate future. So all that stuff is there.
That's amazing. Perfect. That simplifies everything.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you this before we wrap things up. What's the best advice you've ever been given in this industry or even in life?
In the industry, I'm still waiting for that. But I would say in life was from a dear friend that passed away in 2010 now. But he said, in life, there are two things. There is results and consequences. And I never forgot that. And I think that's the most important advice. As simple as it is, I think it does wrap up everything that you're going to go through.
That is amazing advice, and rest in peace to your friend. That's amazing advice. I actually posted something like that, I think a year or two ago. Everything you do either, produces something positive or something negative, everything is a consequence.
Right. Absolutely.
And being a result-driven person can definitely put things in perspective. Like, what kind of results do you want? And then what do you have to do to get them?
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, I'm very much that type of person too. I want this result. I need to build a plan to get myself there.
Yeah.
Inch by inch, however it comes.
Yes, definitely. Okay, and one more thing.
Sure.
What kind of advice would you give to young people in this industry?
I know a lot of people say it over and over again, but I would say staying true to yourself, finding out who you are and staying true to yourself is probably the most important thing that you could do, because everyone else you meet is going to try and have some kind of influence or transform you into something else. Some of them are doing it for the benefit of their own.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you are staying true to yourself, I don't think you're going to go wrong with that.
Beautiful advice.
Yeah.
That's excellent advice. Well, I appreciate so much you coming on today. I always love to, find talent in my hometown. I think it's so important. I still feel so very connected to that whole area. I used to work in Milford for many years at Donna Helene's. Helene is a very,
Awesome.
she's a really close friend of mine. Her daughter, Pam, I'm very close with. I have a lot of good friends in that area. And I love Milford. So cute.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and we'll have to do it again.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Ken. It was really a great pleasure for me, and I can't wait for people to hear this podcast and also check out your music. So we'll be in touch about your tour.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ken. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of A Billion Realities with your host, Jessica Gerlach. Visit us online at abillionrealities.com and follow us on social media at A Billion Realities. A Billion Realities is available on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Alexa, Reach.tv, or your favorite podcast service. A Billion Realities is a proud member of the HC Universal Network family of podcasts. For more great episodes and content, visit hcuniversalnetwork.com today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and until next time, remember, we are all but one of a billion realities.